told me that you've gotten 2 calls today already for
Yes.
fires, but those are not the only calls that you've received today.
No, actually, much earlier this morning, I received an email from the National Weather Service regarding the flooding situation that we're looking at. Of course, we're already watching the Mississippi River rise. We've been through that in '08. We handled that river flood here, so it's a slow rise. We know what to expect. The good thing is there are not as many individuals down in the lower part of the river as it was in '08 due to the city mandates. But there's a conference call actually right now as we speak on the river rising.
Now, when you get these calls, I mean, do you get called in the middle of the night?
Well, the messages will go off. If the National Weather Service feels like we need to be on a call in the middle of the night at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, if tornadoes then of course we take that call now.
And what about the fires? Like today, you got 2 calls on the fires. If something happens in the middle of the night, I mean, do you get up and
That's correct.
go out and?
If we are needed at the scene, then the battalion chief or the fire chief lets us know off the bat. If it's a multifamily and apartment complex, if we're needed, then we immediately go to the scene.
So you respond.
We respond to the scene, and that's what brings me back to the volunteers. They are the heart and the backbone of any organization, but especially the American Red Cross.
How many volunteers do you have?
I would say on the call down list between maybe 100, 150.
Wow, and if people want to be a volunteer, what do they need to do?
All they need to do is they can call the office, 601-636-9182, but I'd love for them just to come in and sit down and visit with me, and let's talk about the many opportunities there are to volunteer within the American Red Cross. There's not just responding to fires, but there are shelters, and anybody that stands up a shelter has to know how to do that. So that takes us back to the volunteers who give of their time and their talents to go to these shelters and open these shelters when we need them. Right. That makes a big difference, because most people think the Red Cross is going to open a shelter, they have a shelter. Do they realize that the American Red Cross has to know exactly where we're going to open that particular shelter? It needs to be close to the people that are affected. Who's going to run that shelter? The Department of Human Services must be in that shelter to register every individual that walks through the door, especially an unaccompanied minor. There must be a registered nurse or an EMT in that shelter, and there must be security at all times.
So it's a lot more complicated than you
think.
The
logistics behind Red Cross sheltering is a lot bigger than people understand.
I would never have thought about all
No,
that.
and in order to do that, you have to be trained. The protocols and the guidelines of the American Red Cross change every single day. And that is why I hold a hurricane meeting that involves every first responder, our emergency manager. I hold that in the 1st of June or the end of May, so that if there are any updates, every shelter manager knows what those updates are, so that when we have to stand up a shelter, everything's in place. I'm not one of those that waits till the last minute. You probably can tell that.
Yeah, you're not like calling on June 1st saying we need to read about hurricane season.
I know all of my shelters have already been identified. They already have their cots and blankets, and the shelter managers are pretty much ready to go.
Well, you say you have maybe 150 volunteers, and of course I'm not surprised by that number in the Vicksburg community.
Right.
This town just have people with very, very big hearts. But that sounds like a lot of volunteers to me, and yet I'm wondering if maybe you could use more.
We can always use more. And that list doesn't primarily include who will be our spontaneous volunteers. Okay, your people that will just hear about it. What can we do, Janice? And I can give you a perfect example. I will use the April tornado. When it hit Eagle Lake, I was still actually taking shelter because I live out in the Fairways community, out close to, I guess, the northwest part of Warren County. So we were under shelter. We had got the text message from the National Weather Service. When I received a call that Eagle Lake had been leveled, before I could verify it, before I could get it verified, a fireman was on the phone asking me, where are we going to put the people that were digging out? Okay, well, I felt a bit of a panic because Eagle Lake that's my community. That's a shelter. That's one of Eagle Lake Baptist Church is one of my shelters. And I was wondering, are my volunteers okay? Is this a shelter still standing? I don't know. Well, it was. It was still standing, and that's where we put people. A lot of people at Eagle Lake were at that church that afternoon.
They were being
to
fed.
shelter.
I was
Yes,
out there.
exactly.
Within hours,
Right.
really, because I stopped there to use the restroom because there wasn't anywhere else.
Right.
And I walked in there, and they already had tables set up. Within hours.
Within hours, because they know what to do, and because the community is so good about giving and helping. But I guess the moral to this story was there were people within this community, including my volunteers and people that weren't volunteers, that were on the phone. I had to get a pad to take down names and numbers of everybody who wanted to do something to help the people in that community.
I'm not surprised.
Now, what does that say for this community?
It says what we know, but not what we always showcase about this community.
Exactly.
And that is,
exactly.
we have remarkable, caring, talented
Yes.
people here, like you and 150 people that you know of.
Exactly. Right.
And that's what we're wanting
Right.
to talk about.
Exactly. When I can pick up the phone, and call, Don Brown or Walter Frazier and say, something's happened and I think we may need some counseling. Will it be okay for me to call you? Sure, this is my cell phone number. What does that say? That says an awful lot, and that's what I want to do today. I wanted to showcase what we have in this community, what makes the mission of the American Red Cross work so well in this community is the partners, the volunteers, the people like you, the good giving individuals of this community.
Well, one thing I'm realizing as you talk is really in many respects the American Red Cross, at least here, functions as a network where you've got these other agencies that you're plugging into and vice
Right.
versa.
Exactly.
That it's a mutual working relationship because sometimes you need them and sometimes they need you and sometimes
Right.
it happens at the same time.
Exactly.
But as you sit here and talk about all the different people and agencies that you're connecting with in the midst of a crisis, that's a big network that you've got to
Very big.
orchestrate more or less
Exactly.
in the midst of something big that's going on.
You're exactly right. And if we don't have these networks, if we don't have these partnerships, and we don't build them and build the rapport, when something happens, we won't be able to efficiently and timely get out there and help the people in our community when they need it. And to me, that's what the Red Cross stands for. We're there in time of need, and we're right there, Johnny, on the spot. And we're going to stay there all the way through recovery. But we're going to do that with the help of our partners. And that's what makes it so special. We have a list of all the partner agencies. So as we begin our recovery process with the individuals this morning, I go through every agency, the Salvation Army, We Care, the food pantry, when they're open, what services might be available to them, so that they'll know when they leave that office, this is what I need to do. Because when you've been through something as devastating as losing everything that you own. The little girl this morning, she could not find, all she had was her purse. She couldn't find an ID. She couldn't find anything. She was standing up and she was just scurrying around. You know what I said? I said, let me just get you a bottle of water. Let's just sit down for a minute and let's just talk. Stop looking for that in the bag. It doesn't matter right now. Let's just stop and let's just talk a little bit. She was calm. I said, why don't you pick some blankets out for your children? She had three children. One was 11 months old. And she picked the blankets out. She found the ID card. And we went through the process. But I just think that is the untold story of the American Red Cross. The pain and the hurt that you see. But for us to be able to give back to them from what this community has given us, I guess that's the moral of this whole conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
It all boils down
So
to...
if we have people that are interested in volunteering, they need to call you at...
601-636-9182.
And if we have people that need assistance, the same number?
The same number. Okay. That's correct. If they need any type of assistance. Normally, all of the firemen they know to go ahead and tell them to come to the office, or they give them our after-hours number, because someone is always on call 24/7. There's not going to be a time when you make a call to the Red Cross that we're not on call. Someone is always on call.
Janice, thank you so much. I really learned a lot, and
well, thank you for having me.
appreciate
I've
all the
certainly
things you're
enjoyed it.
doing in this community, and I know that what you're doing and your volunteers and the other staff really make a difference in Vicksburg and the surrounding area.
Well, I certainly appreciate you having me, and that brings us to your happy.
Okay.
Okay, and I know you want that happy, okay? I can tell.
I feel kind of selfish about taking a gift from,
No. This is really a special gift.
Okay.
It really is. It really has a special meaning.
Okay.
People in this community, all of our volunteers, all of our shelter managers, and volunteers that deploy and go out, have what we call a Heroes for the American Red Cross T-shirt.
Wow.
And when they wear it out on jobs, do you know that people actually want one of the shirts?
Really?
So our shelter managers wanted to wear these instead of Red Cross vests. I said, you know what? You're all going to have one, little at a time. I've made sure that all of our shelter managers have one of these. So I've brought this along with a little bag,
Aww.
a little Red Cross bag.
You are so thoughtful to do that, and I will wear this with great pride.
I knew that you would, and that's why I brought it to you, Robin.
And maybe one day you'll call me, and I'll be able to come out.
And you can put your shirt on and come right on out and
I'll
help
be a
me.
volunteer.
Yeah, exactly.
Janice,
I've
thank you
enjoyed
so
it.
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.